Hello, this is Dorian, and welcome to another episode of The Night Shift. The Night Shift is a podcast where we discuss anything creepy and scary, and most of our Night Shift podcasts have been paranormal related. Only two have been crime or true crime related, so I'm going to do another true crime one. Today we're talking about Ed Gein, he wasn't really a serial killer, because I think in order to be a serial killer, you have to kill 3 or 6 people to classify as that, and he only killed 2. But if he wouldn't have been caught, he would have kept on killing for sure. But Ed Gein was the inspiration for, and everyone pretty much knows this, for Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs, and for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre villain. Most people don't know this, but he was also the inspiration for Norman Bates in Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. And also the inspiration for the TV show that came out called Bates Motel, and Norman Bates was a young child in that one. But yeah. First of all, viewer discretion is advised. This gets pretty graphic and pretty terrifying, so if you're a little kid, turn this off. Before I talk about how he was related to those 3 fictional characters, let me talk about the history of Ed Gein. So Ed Gein had some brothers when he was growing up, and he had a very sadistic mother. She wouldn't beat him, she wouldn't physically harm him, but she mentally broke him down by teaching her and her other two sons, that men are evil, that they're all sex-hungry, craving monsters. And she was very, very religious. She took the Bible very, very seriously. She was a fundamentalist, basically. And she taught Ed Gein that men are all evil, and that women are perfect, and that he should feel guilty for being a man. And Ed Gein, somehow in a weird, twisted way, became obsessed with his mother and loved her to pieces. And when she passed away, he was heartbroken. He felt like a huge chunk of him had been taken away from him. So, the farmhouse where he grew up with his mother was left to Ed Gein by himself. And he was known along with all the other village people. He was a light guy. He went to jail once for like an unpaid speeding ticket, but other than that, he never got in trouble. People generally liked him. He thought he was nice. But how many times do we hear this story with like John Wayne Gacy or Dennis Rader, who's also known as BTK? When they get caught and it turns out they're serial killers, everyone's like surprised, like, oh, he was such a nice guy. We hear this a lot. Well, this was the case with Ed Gein too. Everyone generally liked him. He's a little slow, He wasn't like mentally impaired, but he wasn't the most intelligent guy either. So, he had the farmhouse left to him, and he took the death of his mother very, very difficultly. And so he started robbing graves of female people. Say a woman was just buried 2 days ago. He would rob the grave, take her skin, and wear it so he could feel like he's with his mother again. And he also robbed graves and used the bones for different things, making couches where the leather of the couch is all human skin. Terrible, just terrible, gross stuff. Well, eventually robbing graves was not enough for him. And he decided to start killing. So he murdered 2 women, not in the same day. I think they were weeks apart. And he used their different body parts for different things around the house. Skulls for bowls, skin. He made a belt made out of female nipples. Yeah, pretty fucked up. Well, eventually, Ed Gein was a suspect for the murder of these 2 women. So, the sheriff and the police around the town got enough evidence to get a warrant. And they examined Ed Gein's house. But before they went there, they examined his barn. And they were walking around in the dark, and one of the police officers bumped into something wet and clumpy. And he fell, and he pointed the flashlight towards what he ran into, and he found one of the female victims' bodies hanging by a hook. And then they're like, holy shit, this is a like slaughterhouse type shit, He just hooked her body onto a hook hanging from a chain from the ceiling of the barn, and just complete inhumanized. She was all sliced open and everything. They found the other victim's body not too far away, also hanging from a hook. So they decided to investigate the house. And when they went to the house, it was extremely messy, extremely gross, but they were shocked. Everything was made out of human body parts. Bones, skin, a skin lampshade, a skin chair, a skin couch, forks made out of bones, intestines hanging from the fucking drapes like they were decorative pieces. It was really disgusting. They thought, holy shit, this guy must have been killing at least 40 to 30 people to get all these different body parts inside of his house. Well, it turns out, as I said, he robbed graves before he escalated to killing. He only killed 2 people, which were the 2 women they found in his barn. He, basically robbed... All the other body parts were from graves that he robbed. So they arrested him when he came home while they were there searching. And he pretty much just confessed right away. And he rotted the rest of his life in prison. So anyways, I told you that he's related to 3 fictional characters, or he was the inspiration for 3 fictional characters. Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre antagonist, and then Norman Bates from Psycho. So how is he related to Buffalo Bill? Well, like I said, he wore women's skin. Now, in the book and in the movie Silence of the Lambs, the antagonist, Buffalo Bill, he wears women's skin because he wants to be transgender. He wants to feel like a woman. So by wearing a woman's breasts and legs and hair and scalp and all that, he felt he was closer to being a woman. Well, that's not exactly why Ed Gein wore women's skin. He wore women's skin... See, when he would rob a grave, he'd only rob graves from women that reminded him of his mother. And remember, he was obsessed with his mother and grieved her death very hard. And so he would look through the obituary and find a woman that kind of reminded him of his mother and rob her grave, take her corpse, and wear her skin to feel like he was closer to being his mother. Not so much a female, but to be closer to his mother. So that's how he's related to Buffalo Bill. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's obviously he wore people's faces as a mask, like in the movie, the movies, technically, there's more than one, of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And also, in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he hung people from hooks in their house and in their barn. And like I said, when the cops searched the barn, they found the 2 victims of his hanging from hooks. Now here it gets a little complex. How was he related to Norman Bates? Well, Norman Bates is obsessed with his mother and sometimes believes he was his mother. And that's how it relates to Ed Gein. He was obsessed with his mother and wanted to be his mother and everything. And he even confessed at times that he was his mother. He also, that line from Norman Bates in the movie Psycho, a man's best friend is his mother, is something that Ed Gein actually said in real life. So yeah, and the other thing is, when the cops searched his house, everything was messy, everything was gross, full of body parts, cups, and he didn't take care of the house at all. But when they walked into the mother's room, it's like she'd been living there just days ago. It was all dusted, the bed was made, the windows were clean, everything was clean, and that's kind of similar to what happens in the movie Psycho also. So anyways, that's a creepy, disturbing little story about Ed Gein, one of America's most famous, guess you could call him a serial killer, although I think he wasn't technically a serial killer because he didn't kill enough people. But if he wouldn't have been caught, he definitely would have been a serial killer. So, we have a big Urbex video coming up for you guys. Hopefully, as long as everything goes planned. It might be, this place is so big, we might make a part 1, part 2, maybe a part 3 video out of it. So yeah, stay tuned, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Anyway, stay spooky, guys.